Hello, hello, hello. I am Chelsea.
And I'm Sammy, and this is
Deepish. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this episode today.
I know, me too. That was one of my favorites that we've done.
I know, I'm so excited. So today we have the beautiful Carroll on. She is a mom of 3. She's been doing content creation for about 10 years now, and we got into everything with her. Mm-hmm. It was so fun talking with her.
When we were starting to think of guests that we wanted to invite on the podcast, she was one of the people that came first to mind. I was like, I know this girl, Carlee, that I went to high school with, and I literally haven't seen her since. But we follow each other on social media, and just following her on social media has been so refreshing because she's so raw, so real about things that she's going through, so real about how she feels about her body and body positivity. She's been so open that I feel like she is legit my friend.
Oh, I didn't know her at all, and afterwards I'm like, we just had a girls' night. I love you so much. We got into everything with her.
Yeah.
Her infertility journey, spirituality, motherhood.
Yeah, because she's been through all of the things that she has with infertility. It was really fun for us to compare like before and after, and her give me a lot of advice, and our infertility journey looks pretty similar, and so she was able to quiet my fears, and I just look up to her a lot and the things that she's been through, and I feel like you guys connected on motherhood.
I know it. That's what was so fun. I feel like she could connect and relate to both of us so much. It's just fun to connect with someone about everything, and everyone has a story, and I feel like you guys are going to be obsessed with hers. So I hope you guys enjoy. Here is Carlee.
I don't know why.
Why are you? She has a crush on you, I think.
I'm fangirling right now. I'm just
so
kidding.
flattered.
Okay, guys. Today we have Carlee Carroll on.
Hi.
Hi.
Your last name's Carroll. Is that your husband?
That's my husband's, yeah.
Wait, it's so cute.
It's so much better than my maiden name.
What was it?
Badger.
Yeah. We're
Like,
dropping that.
Carlee
Badger's
Badger
not
to
that
Carlee
bad.
Carroll. Badger?
You know,
Oh.
But Carlee Carroll just
Like, that sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds like a famous name. Because when I saw your
Yes.
Instagram, I was like, I wonder if Carol's her middle name or something.
People think Carroll is my first name.
We definitely don't want it as a first
No.
name, but as a last name, it's really good.
Yeah.
So
I
when
agree.
you were first dating your husband, were you like score with this last name?
Oh,
if
yeah.
this works out.
No, absolutely. If this works
Carroll.
out.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah.
Because, okay, we'll get to that. Okay, so I've known Carlee since high school.
Yes.
Apparently, she doesn't remember that we had class together, but it's fine.
I mean, I remember you in high school, but I don't remember you being.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember ever talking to you.
Mm-hmm. It was funny because when I was preparing for this episode, I was like, oh, I need to go back and look at all of our stuff because throughout the years, you've been pretty public about posting. But I'm trying to think of my first memory, and it was Carlee Ellen. Blogspot.
Yes. Oh
Because-
my gosh.
And I tried to find your blog, and it doesn't exist anymore.
That is such a throwback.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
Yeah.
you had a blog?
I guess. honestly don't even remember what I
You
posted.
don't
Probably
remember?
the most dramatic crap.
But it's funny because I was big into blogging. I mean, not like a blogger or anything, but I went to go find it, and Carlee Ellen is on the side of my blog. But then I click on it, and it doesn't exist
Oh.
anymore.
That is
that
wild.
crazy?
Wait, so your blog still exists?
Yeah, but don't tell people that.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Sammy.
Not that I would know how to find
Yeah,
it. but
yeah.
Cutie Sammy.
Cutie Sam Sam.
That is so
But
funny.
yeah, so I remember you from blog, and then another core memory. You're just like this creep.
Oh,
And
not
then,
at all.
Like, when I remember is you always used to post you eating Chick-fil-A in the gym parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
Like
yeah, I
back in
did.
those days. That was like
Yes.
what, 2015 or something? Or later maybe?
Yeah. I think was I married? I don't even remember.
I don't remember. But,
That was probably when Brett was working at the church and he worked nights.
okay.
So I would go, and we were living with my parents. So I
Mm-hmm.
would go to the gym, and I didn't want to go back home and hang out with my parents. And Brett was at work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just like
So
go to
what
Chick-fil-A
was
and not
this?
go to the gym, but sit in the gym.
Well, because
parking
you know
lot.
the Orem Chick-fil-A, it's right next to that Planet Fitness.
Oh,
It was
Yeah.
this one, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's
And so
exactly.
it's funny because like I'd go on my lunch break and I'd park in that parking lot, and I remember you would post about it. Like you posted about it once, and I was like, "That's so weird." I like eat
I do that
Chick-fil-A in the
too.
gym parking lot, and then it was kind of like a shtick that you had of back here eating Chick-fil-A
Yeah.
in the gym parking lot. And so now every time I eat in the gym parking lot, I think about you,
That's cute.
Carlee.
So then you would just like film yourself just chatting, like life update or what?
Yeah, I think so. I honestly don't even remember.
Yeah.
I remember, yes, I would do that, but I don't remember. I used to post way too much on stories.
No, but I love that.
And who knows what crap I was whipping out. But
So let's go back to the beginning. Let's
Okay.
kind of get a filler for who you are, and then we'll get into when you started posting and all of that.
Okay,
'cause
yeah.
I'm sure that will all come into play.
totally.
So did you grow up in Orem?
I did. My parents still live in the house I was born and raised in.
What was your upbringing like? You were raised in the church?
Yes, I was very much raised Mormon. My family was very devout. Most of my family still is. I was the only girl, which I hated when my mom would go out of town because it was like, let's gang up on Carlee, you know? I hated being the only girl.
So how many siblings do you have?
Just 2 brothers.
Okay.
So an older and a younger. And my younger brother is actually my Irish twin. He was born right before my first birthday, which is kind of funny now because I have twins and there's 4 years between my oldest and my twins. And there's 4 years between my older brother and me. And then I have an Irish twin. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute. Like the similarities between.
Do you feel like you have more appreciation for your mom now? Or
yeah.
like, how did you do this, Mom?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. When anybody would be like, how did you do that? She said, I just raised you guys like twins. You were off bottles at the same time. You were off binkies at the same time. I tried to potty train you at the same time.
Yeah.
That was smart.
Yeah. Honestly.
So were you close with your brothers growing up, or was it kind of just you and your mom and then the boys would do their thing?
Yeah. Kind of just like the boys would do their own thing. I never knew who my brother was dating in high school, even though he was a year younger than me. We were not super close growing up. We're probably more close now than we were growing up.
Yeah.
But we were never that close-knit family who did everything together or anything. We didn't know much about what was going on in each other's lives.
But was the church the center of the house in your home?
Always, yeah. Definitely.
So are your parents raised in the church as well? Or are they converts? Or?
Yes, they're both raised in the church. So
Okay.
it's been part of their lives.
What about your dad? Are you close with your dad?
Probably more so now than growing up. Yeah. My dad, has really good work ethic, was always working. If he's not at work, he's out in the shop doing physical work. And he's not really a touchy-feely guy. So sometimes it's hard to relate on that note. But now that I'm older and I understand adulthood maybe more, I feel like we can relate a lot more. And watching him be a grandpa and watching the touchy-feely come out in that way, because he loves his grandkids. And I've learned that my dad shows love just differently. Like my dad makes a dresser for every one of his grandkids.
Oh,
Wow.
And that is such a labor of love.
oh, yeah.
And it may not be him confessing his love verbally or whatever, but he puts his heart and soul into that because he loves his grandkids, you know? It's so sweet.
So do you have other nieces and nephews?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have, oh my gosh, 5. Yeah. We'll say 5. Yeah.
Okay. 5 maybe.
there's like 6 and one of them's pissed.
Yeah, for real. No. Maybe there will be other ones on the way soon, but
And are they here? Like in...
yeah. Which is nice because we can get together for family dinner and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
do you
always,
guys do that like weekly dinners or
once a month?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Other
good. That's
than that,
manageable.
Yeah.
Are your brothers close? Them too?
Not really. We just like kind of all grew up doing our own thing.
Were you,
You know?
craving that closeness? Would you see other families that were super close and were you like, oh, I wish my family was like...
Oh yeah, because I was always the one that was spending 4th of July and the fun holidays with my friends and their families because they all had the traditions and the fun things going on. And we just never really did, you know? And no shade to my parents for that. I think a lot of it was us kids not wanting to hang out together.
Totally. How does that roll over into you with your little family? Is it like, I want us to be super close and have all the
Totally.
traditions?
Very much so. And I feel like every holiday I try to be intentional about like, okay, I don't want to force these traditions, but I also want us to have things. I want my kids to grow up and be like, oh my gosh, every Christmas we did this, or every Valentine's Day, my mom would always make sure like that we got a Valentine from her and told us how much she loved us and whatever.
Yeah.
Like Sammy, her episode about your mom, your grief, and just talking about how amazing your mom was. And that is literally, I just want to be Sammy's mom, which I know
Me
you
too.
want to be your mom.
Yeah.
But just, I want my kids to grow up and have such fond memories of the things we did together as a family,
Totally.
you know? And Brett's really close with his siblings too, which is fun because I feel like I kind of get to experience the close sibling relationship.
Does it feel foreign to you? Or are you like, whoa, you guys are obsessed with each other? Or like, chill out?
Not really, because they do have their respective space or whatever. But I do see other friends, like my best friend, she's so close with all of her sisters. And I'm just like, you FaceTime them 4 times a day.
I know. I have an older sister. We're close, but it wasn't like, let's go shopping, let's get our nails done, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I see those types of relationships, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that
precious.
sister. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I want that with my daughter so bad.
So are your twins 2 girls or?
A boy and a girl, which is the dream. And they're
That's
just
literally
like
the dream.
so perfect.
I love
I
that.
love them.
So in high school, were you dating a lot or was that like a no-no?
I mean, junior high, you have boyfriends. Never told my parents about that, obviously.
Sammy was the same way. She wouldn't talk to her family about boyfriends or crushes.
I had this weird, I'd be like, ew, don't ask. No,
no.
That's off limits.
Oh, yeah, no. I never. And I don't even think they asked.
Were you kissing boys in junior high?
No.
Okay.
Which, that's the thing. I say boyfriends because we didn't even really hold hands. Like, it was
or
like we'd like.
in the halls.
Yeah, like we'd high five in the hallway or give a side hug. And that was it.
Okay, so then when first boyfriend?
Sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
And that's when I had my first kiss. I was 16 and everything.
Oh,
like
it's
I
perfect.
waited. I know.
Wow.
And I still didn't tell my mom. And that was a really short relationship. And then I had an off and on boyfriend for the rest of high school.
Okay.
And actually funny, he wasn't a member, which was interesting because I was this is the path.
So you guys weren't fooling around or anything?
I mean,
like a little. Like
I mean,
sprinkle
like,
it in a little bit.
I didn't like sneak in his bedroom window or anything.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
But never.
Yeah.
So was that an internal battle in your head? I can date this guy, but I can't end up with him? Or did you try and convert him?
Like in my mind, it was always like, he'll convert,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't remember the internal battle. I remember thinking it was so weird that my mom was so accepting of him and like just the relationship in general.
Yeah.
He was such a good guy. And I think that was my first, like, okay, people who aren't members can be really good people.
Whoa, shocker.
So were you open with your family about your relationship with him, bringing him over to the house and stuff?
And I feel like I kind of had to because he played sports with my brother and there was no way to hide that relationship.
Yeah.
And after the first relationship that I had in high school, my parents found out and everything. I was like, I'm not going to hide stuff from them again. I mean, obviously there's stuff you hide from your parents when you're a high school in a relationship. But they were going to know that I had a boyfriend and it was very obvious. I mean, how could you hide that?
Yeah. So do you feel like your high school experience was good overall? When you look back at high school, do you have fond memories or
yes
glad
and
it's
no?
over? Both?
Both, honestly.
Yeah.
No, I feel like that relationship really controlled a lot of my high school experience. And it was so off and on towards the end of high school. And the girl drama that came along with that, like other girls wanting to date my boyfriend. And so I think about that. And when I was on the offs with my boyfriend, it was like I was walking a nightmare. I was walking the halls by myself. Calling my best friend who lived in Florida, so she was 2 hours ahead and already out of school, to keep myself busy during lunch, So yes, I have some fond memories and no, I don't.
And so how did that relationship end?
I feel like it kind of petered out. Like I said, we were on and off. We had our first real breakup on Valentine's Day.
No.
It was so devastating.
Did he at least get you something?
Oh, no. You know how band and orchestra and all those people went on like the tour to Disneyland or whatever.
Yeah.
It was right after one of those and he came home and I went to take him my Valentine's gift and then
it all went downhill.
It all went downhill from there.
No. So that's senior year.
That was junior year.
Okay.
And then we were on and off till the end of high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was the girl that didn't have a boyfriend really in high school. And so I look at all my friends, I'm like, your whole high school experience was
boyfriend.
Johnny. And so I always wonder, I feel like that would be my same experience. Because when you're heartbroken, you're down and out.
Yeah,
down.
it just like condones
high
you.
school.
It's all that matters.
100%.
So it's interesting.
Did you date in high school? Like, did you have boyfriends in high school?
Yeah.
She's the friend who's never been single.
I feel like I was always just boyfriend hopping, but nothing super significant.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, obviously, I was like, I love you, stuff.
Course,
but then when I met my husband,
were you guys friends in high school? Or like,
no, I knew of him because of Sammy.
Okay.
Because we went to different schools. I met Sammy. And so that's how I know all the Tim girls, all the Orem girls.
Okay.
And then I would see Brandon at parties and stuff, but I didn't know him.
Oh, because you were at Timview, right?
Yeah, I was at Timview.
Okay.
Did you know anyone at Timview?
No.
No.
I
know. I was like very.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of knew of him, and then we started dating after high school.
Oh, okay.
But we were babies, so it's still like that's my teen.
Okay.
But who was your most significant relationship before your husband? Was it that high school boyfriend, or did you have a relationship after high school?
I had a relationship after high school, and that shaped a lot of between then and now. It still is a really big part of my body issues and like
why
confidence issues and stuff. When he broke up, why is it always on Valentine's Day? We didn't break up on Valentine's Day. Yes, we didn't break up on Valentine's Day, but he knew that I had had really shitty Valentine's Days in the past. So he made it a point to make the whole day really good. Showed up at my house in the morning with roses. We went to lunch, we went to dinner, and then we went to the spot where we had our first kiss.
No, I'm so scared.
We were sitting in the car eating shakes. he told me that he was struggling with his attraction to me. And I was like,
excuse me?
pardon? What do you mean?
How did he even bring that up?
I honestly don't even remember.
You're just like slurping down Taco Amigo shakes and he's like, yo, yo, yo.
Literally. I don't even remember how the conversation went down. But I'm like, you made this whole day so good. And you bring me up here to where we had our first kiss to tell me that you don't think I'm pretty?
Wait, I'm so confused. So he was planning on telling you this?
I don't know if he was planning on it or if it just came out, to be honest. I have no idea.
Just blacked out from there.
Yeah. But so then we fought about it or whatever. We didn't break up until a couple weeks later. But I found out from a friend later, he had told her, because she was married to his friend, he told her that he saw me without my makeup on and didn't think I was pretty anymore. Oh. And I was like, oh.
I'm really upset about
you,
yes.
First of all. Yeah.
So was that the nail in the coffin when you heard that? You're like, okay, I really like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be so hard not to be hard on yourself. And do I break up with?
Well, so we had already broken up when I found that out, thankfully.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Because if we hadn't, I don't know what I would have done.
So when he says that to you, what do you say? Are you like, sorry, I don't know what, are we breaking up right now?
I remember being like, then why do you text me every morning? Good morning, beautiful, or whatever.
How did you just do all this?
Literally. And
shit
why are
for
you
on
telling me
Valentine's?
you think I'm your future? But you're struggling with your attraction to me.
But up until this point, that conversation with him, did you have good self-confidence leading up to? Because you're
Totally.
so pretty.
Oh, you're so nice.
No,
Thank
I'm
you.
serious. So was
Facts.
that like, wait, who, me? I'm gorgeous.
Sorry, excuse me.
I
Or
wouldn't
was
say
it
I
like-
was super confident. Like growing up, funny that I had a boyfriend in high school because all throughout junior high and most of high school, I was the girl in the friend group who the boys were not going after.
Okay.
I was truly the duff of the friend group, which no, I really was.
That's fine. I was too. We have the best personalities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And that's all that matters now.
Yeah. And we all glowed up from high school. So
Oh,
it's just-
1000%.
it's better.
1000%. My hair was to the high heavens in high school.
Oh no, were you just teasing it so high?
So bad. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. People called me Pillowhead.
Oh.
Yeah. It's rude, but it's fine. It's fine.
So the boyfriend says this. Is it shattering self-confidence identity, or was it like, oh, that makes sense?
No, it was shattering.
For anyone, that would be.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, my confidence was through the floor. I was like, I'm the ugliest person alive. It just wrecked me for years and years until my husband came along and I'm like, he's not going to think I'm pretty. There's no way on earth this man thinks I'm pretty.
How did you meet him?
Tinder.
Oh, hell yeah.
We love that.
Yeah.
That's
One swipe away.
I know, right? I know. Which is funny. He was actually living in Rexburg, going to school up there, and I was down here. We literally matched in
Wait,
passing.
how? Oh, in passing.
He was coming down to Utah for Thanksgiving, and I was going to Idaho for Thanksgiving. And just because you know how it was like the proximity within 50 miles or whatever, we just so happened to both be on the app at the right time.
Wait, that's so cute.
I know it is.
From douchebag to meeting him, how many years was that?
Or
was it
2.5?
And did you date a lot in between that, or was that
I think
kind
went
of
on dates, but
Okay.
I never had a serious relationship. But I was on the apps, and
had you gone on a lot of app dates, and
I mean,
what was your
enough.
dating experience like in Utah?
After that relationship, I moved in with a friend, and like they had a big group of friends. And it was kind of back to how it was in junior high and high school. The guys were not going after me. They were going after all my friends. I was just there as the duff, the sidekick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the people that I would go on Tinder dates with and everything were not people that any of my friends would have ever dated. But I also feel like I was lowballing myself because my confidence was so low, you know?
And it could just make you question things of like, okay, who do I even go for now? Who's think I'm pretty?
Who's going to think I'm pretty? And back then, I feel like so much of your worth, you base it off of how you look, you know? Which obviously now I'm like,
Who cares?
Who
My husband loves
cares?
me. I have my kids. Like, whatever.
My husband's shorter than me, and like, who cares?
That's the thing is, it doesn't.
In the grand scheme of
doesn't
things,
freaking
it
matter.
really does not matter.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So then you start dating him. Did he heal you from a lot of that trauma?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, still to this day, sometimes I'm like, do you think I'm pretty? Just because he's not a words guy. And I'm a words girl. Like, I need to hear it. But he shows his love in other ways.
Is he your dad? Is he like out making the
Access
furniture?
service.
He's a very much an acts of service guy. He does more laundry than I do. He does more dishes than I do. He does more around the house, honestly, than I do. And like, I'm the stay-at-home mom. I remind myself every day, if he stopped doing those things, I'd be like, you don't love me.
Yeah.
You know?
He takes care of you.
Yeah, 100%. And
is it something you've had to express to him? Like, I need words.
Oh yeah. We have that conversation all the time still. And he knows, like, Valentine's Day, my birthday, our anniversary, I need a handwritten card. Express your love to me through words. You can take all the time you need to think about it before you write it down. But I just need to read those words a couple times a year.
I'm so happy that you are expressing that to him, though. This is what I need. These are my expectations, and then he can meet them.
Totally.
It's hard to get to that point because you want him to just do it naturally.
It's so hard as us girls. We want him to read our minds.
You'll be reminding him for the rest of your life.
Oh, I know I will.
Just I will. Every 3 months.
What's his love
I need
language?
more words. I need more words.
He probably would like me to serve him more, you know?
Yeah. Not gonna happen. Give me my letter, but I'm not doing these dishes.
But I'm like, dude, I birthed all your children.
Yeah.
And I take care of them, which I feel like most men is physical touch. They want the physical intimacy. And it's hard sometimes because if I'm not getting the emotional intimacy, I don't want the physical
I don't feel
intimacy.
comfortable doing that. Yep.
Yeah. So it's the give and take.
It's so hard because then if you do, that brings them up to the emotional level.
Exactly.
And then I'm like, wow, this actually works. If I give you what you need, you give me what I need.
It's somebody has to break the cycle.
Yeah.
Totally.
But it's so hard.
I feel like there's another layer to that where I still have such bad good girl syndrome from growing up Mormon that I have a hard time initiating.
Yep.
Oh,
you know? And so I have to really put on my big girl
How
panties.
is that getting married and just like, hey, you can have sex?
Yeah, no, that's so hard. And I think a lot of it also, it's like, no. We don't even talk about it really to like go for it.
You're good.
Yeah.
go crazy.
Go
I know.
crazy.
I felt that so much. The stunt in sexuality.
Yes.
Where now you're supposed to just be so sexual and it's okay. That was hard for me growing up in the church, for sure.
Yeah. Which I feel like our generation is doing so much better at just what goes on between you and your husband. As long as it's consensual, it's great. You do your thing. But growing up, I remember very specifically my mom telling me, like, girls who shaved, it was only to do naughty things. And that's so inappropriate. You don't ever do that. She doesn't know I shave these days. She'd probably be
really upset
about it.
I know. I feel so sad for these young women.
I know. But you know what? I really think our generation is doing better.
Are you going to talk to your daughter about this kind of stuff?
Oh, for sure. 100%. My son already knows, like, mom has a vulva. He has a penis.
Yep.
And my mom would probably die if she knew that my son still sees me naked.
But that's the thing. Even when they were little, giving them a bath or whatever, I'm like, these are your parts. This is your penis and your butt. And they are private parts. They are for you.
Yeah.
But then teaching them, they're like, what do girls have? And I'm like, they have breasts, vagina, butt. Those are their private parts. So that's for them. But I'm happy that they're learning that verbiage. And it's not, one, super taboo, but also, oh, these are private, but they are for me, and I know the names and they're more knowledgeable versus me. You just pick it up off the streets.
Totally. All I knew them as was private parts growing up, and now saying those words gives me the heebie-jeebies. It freaks me out.
Yep.
No, but totally. Even psychology and everything these days are showing that it is so much safer for them to know the anatomical names.
Yep.
You know, because if anything happens, nothing's in question.
Yeah.
When they say this person touched my penis.
Yeah.
It's just safer. So I definitely want to instill in my children the very
specific things.
And that they're not shameful. Yes, they are private for you until whenever, but there's no reason to be ashamed of them.
I know. And I want that to heal my younger self with that. There's no shame, especially these young girls. I feel like with my son, because I only have boys, I have 3 boys, I'm going to teach them more like respect and
totally.
Obviously I want them to be comfortable.
Yeah.
But boys are different. And I think it's more physical and for these young girls, like so emotional and mental. So I'm going to teach them, let's have boundaries and be respectful. And you both have to feel comfortable, especially the girl. Consent means, yes, I feel comfortable, not silence, not quiet, not anything.
Not maybe, or like.
Yeah. And I think we all probably have those stories where you're making out with a guy and you're just like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
You have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And at the end, you're like, oh, what just happened?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also growing up in the church, it was so taboo that you wouldn't really talk about any of that kind of stuff.
No.
either.
No.
And so if a boy's freaking grinding on you, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm sinning. This is so bad. Or like, what if it feels good? I'm the worst.
Oh, yeah.
All of these things.
Yeah, like even scared to tell your friends.
Mm-hmm.
It was very...
Was your group of friends the goody good girls or?
Yeah, they were pretty good. But I did have one friend, like I remember the first time a guy touched her boobs, she ran and told her mom. Like, oh my gosh, mom, this just happened. And her mom laughed. And I'm like, okay, that's cute. I appreciate that her mom just knew that that stuff was going to happen at some point. And the fact that she could just run and tell her mom and know that she was not going to be shamed, that's amazing. And that is the kind of relationship I want to foster with my daughter. I don't know how that happens, but I hope to.
I want to interview those moms and be like, what did you do to have your kid be so open with you?
You know what? I should do
You
that.
should ask her, because I would love that relationship too. And I think that is so powerful. If you can be in the loop with what your kids are going through and doing, then I think it can save a lot of heartache.
No, it totally
And just
can.
having them feel comfortable coming to you with whatever it is
100%.
is the key, I guess.
No, it's like one of those quotes you see all over Instagram that's like, I want my kids to not say, oh, I can't let my mom find out. I want them to say, I need to call my mom. You know?
100%.
And that's, because looking back, no shade to my mom. My mom was an amazing mom. And you know what? We have to give them credit. Like, they did the best they knew how with what they had, you know? And they thought that they were doing the very best for us.
Yeah.
But looking back, I wish I had someplace to go, you know?
Where that trust is built of a safe space of I can tell her anything. And
knowing that I wouldn't be in trouble or just help me through this.
And I think part of that is obviously generational. And then them sharing, like you sharing things with Molly of, I'm not perfect in this way and this is something that happened to me, or this is a mistake. I feel like my parents, they wanted me to think that they were perfect, you know? And so then if my mom would have told me like, oh yeah, I messed up on this, then I could come to her and be like, hey, I messed up. Like, what do I do? Yeah.
It's just funny because I do feel like it's us millennial generation is so similar and breaking all these molds and
well, and it's like, what are our kids gonna be fixing? Like, what's the next generation
there's gotta
gonna
be something
trying to fix?
because we're not all perfect. There's gotta be something.
Well, we're all is it gonna be?
I hope it's not like the family vlogging stuff.
Yeah,
they're like they took too many pictures.
I've been watching. Have you guys been watching the Ruby Frankie?
I just finished it.
You just finished it? Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh!
It is crazy, and it really makes you realize. We were just having this conversation about sharing your kids online, and that was crazy.
I know, and I don't know how open you are sharing your kids online, but I'm battling an ethical dilemma a little bit, putting my kids online.
100.
Where for me, I don't really have a following. I have my friends and my family, so it's not that big of a deal. But with these big influencers,
where's the line?
Where's the line of, and it's not even just the embarrassing, oh, I'm teaching them how to potty train or whatever, but it's like the tantrum, or they don't want to film something, but you're making them do a TikTok trend, or how when they're looking back on that, is that going to affect them and their privacy? Because I look back at all of my VHS home videos and I love having those, but they are just for me.
They're not public.
How do you feel about that?
You know, I've always shared my kids, but it's only recently that I've really felt the call to pull back a little bit. And the hard thing I feel like, especially as a mom, that is what I do all day, every day, is take care of my kids. And I'm obsessed with them. I love them so much and I'm so proud of them. Of course, I want to share them. And also, I've been on social media for such a long time that a lot of the people there have been with me for such a long time and they know my kids. And that's equal parts frightening and comforting because they want to know what's going on in Brooks's life. He learned this new thing and that's so exciting because they have that social relationship, but also that's kind of freaky that I've never met you and you like want to know so much about my kids.
But then also, if you are an influencer and you share your family and it's amazing, you have these opportunities to provide for them or do amazing things, or there's like benefits that come with that.
Totally.
And not everyone's going to become Ruby Frankie.
Exactly. There are some things like a brand will send me pajamas for my kids. And obviously I'm so thankful. And if my kids will sit down for a picture, sure, I'll take a picture and send it to them. But I don't want that expectation from the brand, because if Brooks is like, I don't want to take a picture, I don't want to make him take a picture because I don't want to get to that point where he's going to be like, Mom made me do these things.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear that, because I guess I haven't really talked to anyone that has a following and what their relationship is with that, but that's good. If you want to send this to me, that's amazing. I'm not gonna
I have no guarantees for a picture or a video or whatever. Yeah,
having
totally.
that boundary. I also think a lot of it is just the way that you go about it, because I think sharing your kids can be super empowering and the positive thing too. I think especially for you, I remember when you announced that you were pregnant with your first, and you going through all of the infertility that you've gone, it's like you have a full following of people who are rooting for you and love seeing you be a mom.
Yeah.
And so I think it's an inspiring thing to see someone live out their dreams, and they wanted something for so long.
What I've decided for myself is I have to be really intentional about what I share of them, not sharing anything too personal or embarrassing.
Yep.
And I've decided that if I post a picture of them, I don't want to post pictures of just them. Like if they're in the picture, I need my face in it too, because of creeps out there, you know?
Wow,
Yeah.
I love these rules. It feels good to have those tangible goals from someone that does have a following and what you're doing with that.
I admire people who can have a social media presence and not show their kids, because I think that takes, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, that takes a lot of work.
A lot of work.
You know?
But also on the other end, maybe some of these influencers that are pulling back, you kind of built your brand off the back
of motherhood.
Yeah, the backs of them. And now you are at the luxury of pulling back. So that's where it's hard.
It is. It totally is. Yeah.
It's a dilemma right now in
100%.
this day and age where maybe our kids will potentially see the harmful effects of us always posting them. Or maybe they'll be like, sweet, now I can have a platform
or whatever.
But then also just social media for kids, I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's terrifying. Just to even think about Brooks having access to that. Yeah,
Even
he's got a
just-
while, but oh my gosh.
They're okay, but also this is so weird. So I'd have a random Instagram just for me to post journal posts.
Okay. Yeah, I love that.
And I hadn't posted in forever, like almost a year and a half. So I was like, oh, I'm going to log in and start posting stuff. And so I hadn't been on so long, had no algorithm. I log in and the algorithm is just straight boobs, butts, girls twerking. And I'm like, what the heck? My personal journal thing, I feel like that's kind of the normal. I'm scrolling and it's these girls twerking or girls at the gym or just dudes. And I'm like, is this the algorithm that when you're initially signing up, is this the algorithm?
Yeah, that's creepy.
And so it's so scary.
Yeah, it's spooky.
But it sucks because I feel like all of these fun things and good things about childhood and teenage years, like sleepovers and social media, like MSN Messenger and MySpace, those were so fun. And so I do want to give my kids some freedom of like
having those opportunities.
If all your friends have an Instagram, like you can have an Instagram. I want to protect you from that, but like that's a fun part of
growing up.
Yeah,
like the social aspect of it.
And same thing with sleepovers. It makes me so sad because I understand that most people aren't doing them, and I totally get that. But that was like one of the funnest parts about my childhood. So just
but they'll find stuff too. Like your nieces are obsessed with CapCut. These kids love CapCut.
CapCut.
That's like the thing.
So I'm just like, where's the balance? Because no, you can't have that at all. But then the highs are high and the lows are low.
100%. Like, where's the middle ground?
But we didn't have that. Our first thing was MySpace, and
I was never allowed to have MySpace.
Oh,
did you ever create a secret one?
No. Have Bebo?
Nope.
What's Bebo?
It was like MySpace, but like sketchier.
Oh, sketchier.
So I just like feel like it. I'm sure we got a million bugs on our computer from.
It's like LimeWire.
Yeah,
probably. Bebo.
But even MySpace was later, and then Facebook was high school.
Okay, but no, like I was watching some home videos. I had a camcorder, and that's all me and my friends did was film videos.
But
like
would you
pretend
post
talk
them?
shows and stuff. No, but if we could have, we would have. You know,
I know, but it's the making of it just for you guys is the beauty and so sweet. It's not for. But now all these kids aren't kids anymore because they're all doing it just for these TikTok dances.
That's true, for the likes, and it's so sad. I know, it's so hard.
That's so hard.
But I do feel again. We are making change and progress in a lot of ways. And I think our kids, especially our generation, is going to pull back with our kids with social media. And
that maybe all of them won't be really on the apps.
Yeah. Okay, wait. So going back, you meet your husband. You guys start dating. How long did you date for?
So we matched on Tinder in November of 2015. We actually didn't exchange numbers until the following April. So like 5 months later.
Okay.
We went on our first date in May. Boyfriend and girlfriend June. Engaged August. Married December.
Okay. So like a year.
Yeah.
Adjacent.
Yeah. I would say from our first date probably is like really when we met, because from November to April, we didn't really talk much. He would message me on Facebook every now and again, just be like, hey, hope you're having a good week. But like we didn't consistently talk until we exchanged numbers. And I mean, he was in Idaho.
So what was the rush for that? We just want to be together. We want to have sex. So let's get married.
Honestly, probably just that he lived up there and I lived down here. And he knew pretty much right away that he wanted to marry me and I did not. And so, yeah, it was like once we knew we were going to be together, it was like, we got to get this going because
you're up there and I'm down
You're
here.
finishing school up there and I'm down here and we got to figure this out.
Yeah,
So-
long distance would be hard.
Oh, yeah.
But were you loving that energy from him? Was he just over you from the get-go?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That
yeah.
is so cute.
And he was, like I said, like from my previous relationship, I was so messed up in the head. And he would continually come down and take me out. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm just not ready to be in a relationship. And
he would come down from Idaho.
he would
just to
come
take
down
you
from
on a
Idaho.
date.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
cute.
So sweet.
He likes you.
I know. I know. I need to remember that now when I'm like 3 kids think I'm pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like our 4th date. And he finally was like, I'm good to keep waiting on you. Like, don't feel any pressure to move this along. But will you like give me a sign or something when we can take the next step? Because how am I going to know? And I was like, yeah, I'll let you know. And then I ended up kissing him that night.
So he knew.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. That was all I needed was to show that you were patient.
You made the first move for your first kiss.
Yes, which is so unlike me. So
love
unlike
that.
me.
I
But
love it though.
But then you were in it. After
then I was in it.
Okay.
And then it was like, after that, it was like a week later, we became boyfriend and girlfriend. And then like a week after that, he told me he loved me.
Whoa. Did you say it back?
No, not for another week. But it was only a week. And that was like the first time I went up to see him in Idaho.
Okay.
So,
So did you just say thanks or what?
yes.
Literally.
I literally said thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then was there a conversation after that? You didn't say it back, or he knew you'd say it when you're ready?
I think he knew I would say it when he's ready. But you know what? When he told me that, we had a conversation beforehand of how he thought that girls should know nothing about an engagement. That, like, they shouldn't pick out their ring. It should be 100% a total surprise. And
That's a
I was,
gamble. You're like, no, I need to
Exactly.
pick it out.
and I was like, absolutely not. No way. And so when he told me he loved me, in the same breath, he told me he wanted to take me ring shopping. And I was like, oh,
This is a lot. This is
oh
a
my
lot.
gosh. Okay.
Had he dated a lot, like prior
Yeah.
to you? Okay, so
Yeah.
he knew. He was like, I have dated these girls. This is my girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your guys' age gap? Are you the same age?
He's only 9 months older.
Okay.
So not very much.
Okay, so you guys get married.
In December of
And-
2016.
You moved up to Idaho, didn't you?
Yeah. So he had 1 year left of school. Moved up there.
Okay.
We finished out his school year there before we came back down here.
Okay.
And is he a member?
He grew up a member. Yeah.
Okay, and then you
Yeah.
guys got married in the temple?
Yes,
Or-
we did. Yeah.
Dot, dot, dot.
It's like, what is this?
What's
Yes. Okay, so how long after you guys got married did you decide you wanted to start trying to have kids?
Literally 2 months.
2 months.
Because
okay.
I had this gut feeling. Well, I kind of already knew it would take us a while because when I was 16 or 17 and got diagnosed with PCOS, my doctor told me it's going to be hard to get pregnant because you're not having cycles.
So going back to that, PCOS, me and Chelsea both have PCOS.
Really?
Yeah, PCOS girlies all
Yeah.
here.
But it's so weird. That's the thing that's so annoying is it looks so different for
everybody.
everyone.
Yeah.
So that's like not impressive at all, but that you were diagnosed so early.
Yeah.
So were you just having super bad periods or irregular or
Never had a period.
Oh, okay.
I still never had periods, except I just had 2 in a row, which is
Crazy.
very abnormal for me.
yeah.
And a lot of my aunts and my grandma had it. And so my mom was like, let's take you in and just get your levels tested and everything. And yeah, my doctor was like, oh yeah, for sure. That's exactly what this is. Which it still is not super studied.
Because after
Yeah.
you were diagnosed, did you just go back to living life normal or
Yeah.
knowing that young, you're just like, okay, so once I decide I want to start getting pregnant, I'll just know. It might
know.
take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But the thing that's so frustrating now is all this research is coming out. It affects everything. Are you tired all the time? Are you exhausted? It can affect what you're eating, your weight, your acne.
Everything. It affects
Everything.
so much. And research is finally coming out, but there's still so much to go. It is very validating though, seeing all this stuff come out, because it's like, okay, so I'm not crazy.
Yeah. I had legit issues and it was because of this disease, but no one knew about it.
Exactly.
So you didn't get on birth control or anything when you got married?
Well, I did. The month before I got married, I got on birth control.
Okay.
Was only on it for a couple months, which I actually felt amazing on birth control.
I love that.
Okay.
I felt so good on it, and I lost like 10 pounds.
Was it just
so
like an
great.
oral birth control?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would never take birth control again, just because I don't want to have a period if I don't have to.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I know that it can mess with you so much, but yeah, I was only on it for a couple months, and then we started trying literally 2 months into marriage. And it was just one of those things. I'm very intuitive. I'm learning that in therapy. And I just had that gut feeling, which back then I was probably like, the Holy Ghost is telling me that we need to start having kids.
Could you read that gut feeling as a gut feeling, or because sometimes I'm like, is this a gut feeling or just a fear? Like, am I just scared I'm gonna have a hard time having kids, or do I actually, is that my truth?
Sometimes I feel like, yeah, I have a hard time, but when it's deep in my gut, I just know. I knew exactly when I needed to quit my corporate job. I knew exactly when I needed to stop taking birth control. And that's very obvious.
So intuitive. I love that.
It's interesting,
yeah,
I would say. And it was the same thing with deciding that I needed to look into church stuff and really figure out my testimony and strengthen it or not.
Yeah.
I had avoided it for so long because friends had left the church and everything and told me. I wanted to ask them questions. I wanted to be that friend who was trying to understand their story and understand them and whatever. And everything that they told me that they did, I avoided like the plague, because I'm like, I don't want to not going down that path. Yeah. And then it was clear as day. Like,
when did you start confronting that gut feeling?
Right before Brooks was born. So end of 2019, early 2020 probably is when I really was like, okay, you've got to dive in and strengthen your testimony, because something's got to give here.
Because you were just very resistant to the church at that point, or?
Yeah. After Rexburg, it was really hard for me in Rexburg to go to church. Really, really hard. And then the rest of our marriage, we just didn't really go to church, but I felt this intense pressure to be like, we need to be reading our scriptures together, and we need to be praying together, and yada, 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 all the things. But it just didn't flow for us.
So was your husband right there in the same boat with you? He
know?
wasn't like, let's go or let's leave. He was
Just there.
Okay.
Which he didn't grow up in Utah. So he didn't grow up in the intense Mormon culture.
Did he serve a mission?
He did for like 6 months.
Okay.
And did get a lot of people looking down on him for coming home early, which obviously that's his story to tell. But I was still scared to tell him I had issues with the church, or that I was hesitant. Once I decided I needed to start strengthening my testimony, it was like a year and a half after that I finally was like, okay, I'm really struggling with the church. I don't want to do this anymore.
So what did that look like? Okay, I need to research more outside of church teachings. I really need to, like, what?
So I started on the church's website, which I feel like people who are still members, this might be hard to hear. Sorry. I love you. I was like, okay, I'm just going to dive in on the church's website and read the gospel topic essays. And that was the very first thing that I did. And some of those made me feel really sick to my stomach. And I haven't read the CES letter. I haven't read a letter to my wife. I haven't read all those things that people tell you to read, because reading the gospel topic essays was enough for me to feel,
this isn't right for me.
this isn't right for me.
What kind of things were in there that you were like, this doesn't feel right?
The one particular that stands out to me, I feel like I've blacked a lot of it out because it feels traumatic.
Yeah.
But the one thing that really stood out to me was blacks not having the priesthood, and the way that blacks were spoken about by the prophets. And it made me feel so sick to my stomach. And I remember texting my friend and being like, I don't know if I can make it through this. This is so hard. And I'm just supposed to believe in these prophets now. And then I would hear stuff about Joseph Smith and whatever later down the road. And then my testimony of Joseph Smith completely shattered. And then again, it was like, if I don't believe in Joseph Smith, then do I believe
in any of this?
Yeah. I don't think that the general authorities stand up there at the pulpit and are trying to deceive us. I think they genuinely feel in their heart of hearts that what they're doing is right. So I don't blame anybody. I don't blame people who are in the church. If it makes you happy, I love that for you. I really do. And I want you to feel supported in that 100%. But it is not for me. It is not for me.
So was there a point where you're like, okay, we're done going to church?
It was slow. We took Brooks to church one time. And he was probably 4 or 5 months old. And it was just because I felt the guilt that we needed to get to church. I remember when we had his blessing, it was during COVID. So we had it at our house. And I just felt off the whole time. And I remember everybody being like, this is so special. Are you so excited? This is so great. And I just was like, yeah. But I just felt weird. I think it was probably a year or two after that. We never went to church. But that was when I finally came to my parents and I was like, I probably won't ever go back to church.
And how did that conversation go?
I sent them a text, which I know is maybe controversial, but knowing my mom and knowing my parents, I wanted them to be able to process that on their own, in their own way. And then when they were ready to discuss it with me, they could.
Yeah.
So I just basically was like, hey, this is what's going on. I know your concern is out of love and I don't want you to feel like I'm betraying you. This whole long text, I don't even remember everything it said, but I just was like, I love you. If you need space, I get it. My dad texted back first and was so kind and so supportive, which I don't know why I expected anything less. It's probably just from years of conditioning that like anybody who's not a member or stops going to church is being led astray. But my dad very much was just like, we love you no matter what. He has family that's left the church and he was like, never changed my love for them. It will never change our love for you. And we want you to be yourself around us, basically.
I love that. And your mom?
She basically was like ditto to what dad said. I'm sure she went and cried in her room for days after that, but she just was like, we love you, you know?
Yeah. How did your in-laws take it?
So my mother-in-law actually passed like 6 months into marriage.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And she was the only one that was really still active. It was not a huge deal for them, really. I think even that Brett wasn't going to church. It was just like, oh, okay. Not a big deal. Nothing needed to be announced or...
So how's your relationship with spirituality now?
I very much still believe in a God. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what the afterlife looks like, but I'm also very comfortable sitting in the fact that I don't have to know. Whatever it is what it's going to be. And my belief is not going to change that. And that may change. I may be uncomfortable with that thought one day, but right now I don't need to know. And that feels really freeing.
Yeah.
It's like a breath of fresh air, which some people, they're like, that's so scary. But I'm like, no, it's so great.
Because then you can really hone in on your values and how you want to live your life and what that means to you. And it feels exciting versus scary.
100%. And I also feel like it allows me to be so accepting of so many different beliefs that other people have. I feel like I'm a much better person outside of it than I was in, because I was looking through such a small lens and thinking that everybody had to have that same perspective. And now knowing that there are multiple different perspectives and everybody believes a lot of the similar things, they just call it different things. And whatever resonates with you, if it helps you be a good person, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. You said it so beautifully. It's so relatable how you're explaining things. Do you feel like people that are super strong in the church, sometimes you have a hard time, like you want to push back on certain topics?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't discuss these things with my family really, because I know their stance and their thought process, because I was there once, you know?
Do you feel like you guys have had a lot of hard conversations since that text? Is there times where it comes up, or is it just like they know where you stand, you guys respect each other?
It comes up on occasion. It's maybe come up 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
I remember the first time I ever drank alcohol in front of my mom, which was only that one time. That's the only time it's ever happened. But, you know, just the fear in her that I would be going down the wrong path, you know? It really has only come up a couple times. And obviously family dinner and stuff, a lot of the conversations revolve around church things.
Are your siblings still super active?
Yeah.
Okay.
And everything goes back to the church. Politics goes back to the church. What the neighbors are doing goes back to the church. What you do in your daily life, church consumes you. And so a lot of times I feel like we don't have much to add to conversations, because it's like, oh, we go to church. And the way we talk about other people is different not that they're rude or judgmental, but just they worry. And I have to remind myself that their worry is out of love because they want the best for people. And they truly believe in their heart of hearts that that is what's best for people. Yeah. We don't really talk about it much.
What about motherhood and the way you were raised in that religion and the way that you want to raise your kids? Does that stress you out at all? Or do you have a pretty good idea of when Brooks asks, who's God or who's Jesus?
Yeah. Sometimes I stress because I'm like, I only know how to teach through the lens of Mormonism. And like my grandma just died and Brooks was asking questions about that, obviously. The best way I could explain it to him, because I do believe that there's a life after this. I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
But I just explained it to him. There comes a point when your body can't take care of your spirit anymore. And so your spirit has to leave your body and go up to heaven. And then he asked my mom the next day, Grandma, are you going to die? And she's like, whoa, one day. And he asked her like, well, what happens to you? And she explained it through her lens of what she believes.
Plan of salvation.
Yeah. And it's okay to me that he knows what grandma believes, but I very much want to instill like, okay, mom believes this, grandma believes this, dad believes this. What do you believe? And really give them the autonomy to figure it out for themselves. And also that your mind can change. Just because you start to believe one thing doesn't mean you can't change your mind. And that's okay.
Yeah, you're literally speaking to my soul. I'm in that same boat with my voice.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. All I want is for a spiritual journey to be exciting and not scary. My whole life, it was like, if it's not this, it's wrong. It's wrong and it's so scary. And when you're tugged into a different direction, you're fighting so hard against that. Totally. And I just want my babies to be like, oh my gosh, today I saw that sunset and I felt so many feelings. And then the other day I said a prayer and I felt all these feelings. I just want it to be exciting and fun. And I 100%. Do want their minds to be open to all the possibilities.
100%. I agree with that.
But I don't know, because sometimes I'm like, is this too
then
confusing?
Are you just gonna follow the devil?
Yeah, well, it's like if you don't, my whole thing is if I don't stand for this, am I gonna fall for everything? But also what I'm teaching my kids is very much value based. These are values that are really important, and hopefully those guide me in the direction.
I feel like we're obviously flying by the seat of our pants, but in those moments you'll know what to say, what to do. And I always remind myself, if I do or say something wrong and maybe I feel like it came across wrong or it affected them in a negative way, I can come back and be like, hey, I said this. It may have made you feel a certain way. Are you feeling okay about that? Well, how does it make you feel? What are your thoughts? And I can apologize if I do something wrong.
I love that sentiment of you don't have to be perfect right off the cuff. Because I think of This Is Us, that show. And Jack is just saying these monologues that are perfection. And I don't talk like that. Like, I'm not so eloquent, and I don't know the answer when they're like, Mom, what about this? Or they ask me like a very profound question. Sometimes I'm flustered.
Totally.
That feels like I don't have to be perfect and always on immediately.
I think it's so important to remind ourselves that we are not perfect, and showing that to our kids will also be very good for them to learn that they don't have to be perfect, but that they can come back and correct themselves or apologize or whatever the situation is, you know?
Yes, totally. Okay, so going back, you trying to get pregnant.
Yes. So we did fertility treatment.
How long were you guys trying? Because you kind of knew you'd have a hard time, but did you guys try for a full year before getting...
Yeah, so we tried for a full year before I even sought help from my OBGYN. I wish I would have skipped the OBGYN and just gone straight to the fertility center, but we didn't do that. So it took us, we started to try in 2017, and I got pregnant at the end of 2019. So it was like 2.5 years, I think, trying.
So you went to your OB, and then did they do testing and stuff, or did they just say like, okay, here's Clomid or
what? Yeah, they just handed me Clomid and said, take this, come back on day 12.
Okay.
We'll see what they had to induce a period first with medication, but went back on day 12. My follicles weren't big enough. They said, okay, let's try again next month. And I did that 3 or 4 times with them before I went to the fertility center. And the fertility center did that, but we're way more in depth with it.
Yeah.
They're like, come back in 2 days. Let's check it again. I didn't ovulate when I got pregnant both times. I didn't ovulate till day 21 or 22. And so the OB just checking on day 12 is garbage.
Asleep at the wheel. Okay.
Yeah. But the fertility center, it's like, okay, we're only at this point. Let's give you a shot. Come back in 2 days and we'll check it. You know, okay, that's not quite there. Come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they're just so much more in depth, which I love.
So what kind of treatment did you start with at the fertility clinic? Was it all just medicated cycles? Did you do any IUIs? How did you end up getting pregnant with Brooks?
Brooks, it was a medicated cycle, but it was so much medicine. I was on the highest dose of Clomid and Femara that they could give me.
You took both at the same time?
Both at the same time. Dexamethasone, which is a steroid. Metformin, which they give to people with PCOS all the time. I was given an FSH shot, and then you do the trigger shot. And then, so we ended up getting pregnant on our first cycle at the fertility center with Brooks, which was a huge blessing.
Yeah.
With the twins, we did 8 medicated cycles before we finally did an IUI, and I got pregnant on the first IUI with the twins.
Okay, so you have Brooks, and then how long after him were you like, okay,
let's start?
Should we just start right away? Or
I think it was like a year and a couple months after Brooks was born, because I remember I had to be done breastfeeding, and I didn't stop breastfeeding Brooks until 14 months.
Okay, got it.
And so then I was like, okay, let's see if I have a cycle. I'm done breastfeeding. I don't think I had a cycle. We went to the fertility center and we did a couple medicated cycles at that point. And then I was so overwhelmed. I was like, we've got to take a break because I cannot mentally do this.
Yeah.
One more time. So then we waited another year before we started again. And then at that point, it was like another 5 or 6 medicated cycles. And some of those cycles, I didn't even get a follicle big enough to trigger. And one of them I had to have how do you say it? It's not a hysterectomy because that takes your uterus out. I had to have the hysteroscopy.
Oh my gosh, it is. I'm having one on Friday.
Oh, really?
Can talk.
Yeah. No, but this is exactly what I'm going through right now.
I had a polyp. Do you go to the fertility center?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk. That video of you crying and talking to Brooks about when your IUI failed. Oh. That was the sweetest video. She posted this video of her crying in the car and her son.
Which, you know what's funny is like I had been filming a like other vlog or something that day. And I thought I stopped the camera and I hadn't. So I wasn't even like trying to get that on film. And it just happened. And then when I went back and looked and it was like a 20-minute video, I'm like, what the heck? Watched it and saw that moment and I just was like,
wait, so he just comforted you or what?
Because I was just sobbing in the car. And he's like, what's wrong, mommy? And I was just like, I'm sad. And he was asking like why. And I told him like, I don't have a baby in my tummy. And then like we pulled in our garage and he goes, Mom, I will make you happy. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I love you so much. He's like, well, is dad okay? Is dad happy? It's like, he's probably sad too. It's just like so devastating.
It's so powerful showing your kids your emotion and it's good for them to see, no, this is real life. And
it's
now,
okay to cry.
Like, I was crying because I wanted these 2 siblings for you. And now he has them. We could get into the weeds about your whole infertility journey because you've basically tried it all and been through that roller coaster. When you were posting about it and being public about it, did you find a lot of comfort in the TTC community?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And there was like a couple girls that like we were going through the same things at the same time. And so we'd be like, hey, like, how's it going? You know, and like,
yeah.
I remember one girl being like, did you get your results back from your blood test? Yeah, it was negative and hers was positive. And like,
yeah,
you know, she's like, I'm so sorry. Mine was positive, you know, and I know it's so hard for a lot of people to feel joy for other people in those moments because you're so sad for yourself, obviously, but those things can totally coexist.
Totally.
But it is really hard sometimes to get to that point, and I totally recognize that. But I found so much community in being open about my journey.
I feel like it kind of gives somewhat of a purpose or like a why. You know, connecting with other people. Or what about your friendships? Did you have a lot of friends that were getting pregnant or that were moms at the time?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what I'm struggling with right now. It really, like, and me and Chelsea talked about this literally yesterday of, like, I'm used to showing up super hard for my friends, and I feel like infertility is slowly eating me alive, and I'm not myself, and it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm so triggered, I can't come to your baby shower or whatever. I show up, I'm supportive, I'm there. But I feel like all my friends are walking on eggshells around me, or motherhood is a huge part of life that they feel like they can't share with me. Do you feel like that impacted your relationships at all?
Yeah. sometimes it was hard to go to girls' nights because everyone else was a mom. And that's all they talk about is their kids, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, just had another failed cycle.
Yeah.
It definitely was hard on me. And I think I would ask questions like, hey, how's your kids doing? What's she up to these days? Is she crawling? Whatever. Like, I feel like I had to put forth effort because I wanted to know and I wanted to be involved. I still was throwing baby showers and doing all the things because I wanted to make sure that my friends knew that just because I was struggling doesn't mean that their successes and their joys shouldn't be celebrated. Because I would want that same excitement and stuff in return when it's my turn.
Yeah.
You know, and I love my friends and I want them to be excited. But it definitely was hard sometimes to go to girls' nights and just feel like, oh, I have nothing to contribute.
Yeah. So now that you are on the other side, do you feel like there's anything you'd go back and tell yourself? Probably wish you would have stressed less or known it would have worked out or whatever.
I think one thing people always tell you, which I hate this, and I feel like everybody hates it, everything happens when it's supposed to and blah, 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 blah. And that will never be helpful in the moment, ever, when you're going through that. Now I can look back and see that and be like, okay, I'm so glad that Brooks was 3.5 when I got pregnant with the twins. Yeah. That was helpful for me. I can't imagine having a 1.5-year-old and going with a newborn. But I don't have a ton of regrets as far as how I handle myself. But what I wish people could do is put themselves in the position of still be excited for your friends, but also feel your feelings. Like if you don't want to go to a baby shower, don't go. It's okay. But if you want to throw a baby shower, throw the baby shower and be excited. And it's okay if you go cry afterwards. Just let yourself feel whatever you need to feel, but really try and step outside of yourself for your friends in those moments when you can. But also give yourself so much grace. It's okay if it's hard. It's okay if you're having a hard time with it. It's okay.
So how was it finding out you were having twins? Because that was an IUI. So did you just make 2 follicles?
Yeah, it was 2 follicles. Okay. So when I went for my final follicle check, she was like, okay, this one is for sure ready. This one might drop an egg. I'm not sure if it will. It's almost there. Are you okay with proceeding knowing that this could be multiples? And I was like, yeah, because it's a higher chance of multiples, but it's also a higher chance of pregnancy. Yeah. You know,
like if one doesn't work, the other one will.
Yeah. And the cycle before that, I had 3 follicles that were ready to go and I didn't get pregnant. So I was like, I'm willing to take whatever risk it is. And then in the 3 weeks prior to finding out that I was pregnant, I had 3 separate dreams that I was pregnant with boy-girl twins.
What?
So it was like
that intuition kicking in again.
I know. So when we saw it on that ultrasound, because I went in, I was having some cramping. So I went in at 5 weeks for an ultrasound just to see if everything was okay or if it was an ectopic pregnancy or whatever.
Did you do your IUI? And then 2 weeks later, they say, okay, then come in for your HCG on this day. Yep. Did you take a test that morning?
I did.
And it was positive?
It was so positive.
Oh,
were you so happy?
I was in shock. Brooks, I didn't take a pregnancy test that morning. I took a pregnancy test after the fertility center called me because I just wanted to see a positive test.
Yeah.
But with the twins, that was our 8th or 9th cycle trying to get pregnant with them. And I was like, I need to mentally prepare. If this is negative, I need to know by myself in my bathroom.
Yep. Yes. And that's what I told Chelsea because she's like, why don't you just let them call you and have one disappointment? I'm like, I'm not going to be in the middle of work and be like, hey, oh, you're not pregnant. Okay, bye. Yeah. You know, it's like you want that moment to yourself. To yourself, 100%. Because I mourned that with Brooks not having that moment to myself. Yeah. And good or bad. The good too of like, oh my gosh, it is positive. What?
Was your husband with you?
He wasn't. He was at work. And I didn't tell him that I was taking a test.
So did you surprise him at all? Or
Yes.
Yes.
So he works pretty close to the fertility center. So I went in for my HCG and then I came to his work afterwards and I showed him the test I took. He was like, what is that? Didn't know what he was looking at. And I'm like, this is a positive pregnancy test. And
you see those 2 lines? You said that word?
That's what it's supposed to look like. And he just was like, well, let's wait till the fertility center calls. He was very skeptical, which is very like him. He's very much like, I want the cold, hard facts. So I'm not going to get attached until I know. He's not emotional, intuitive. He wants the cold, hard facts. And I'm like, look,
There's a chance we might be pregnant.
And he's like, let's just wait. So they call, and my HCG was like very good. It's supposed to be like over 100, I think. And it was like 293.
So did you think maybe it was twins at that point?
I think Brett made a joke about it. And I was like, yeah, like whatever.
And after all those dreams, were you hopeful that it was going to be twins? In the back of your mind, like, I feel like this is twins.
Kind of. Because when we were getting pregnant with Brooks, I was like, it would be so nice if this is twins. Just 2 in 1. Let's get it over with.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we went in for a 5-week ultrasound because I was like feeling crampy. And there was 2 sacs, but we couldn't tell if one of them was a sac or if it was like a something hemorrhage. I don't remember the word. And so she's like, come back next week and we'll double check and see if it went away.
Slow, this whole
It
process.
is, it's so slow.
And come back next week to find out if you're having twins or not.
Literally.
Like, okay, cool, see ya.
So went back the next week, and the minute she put that ultrasound wand inside me, I was like, oh, it's twins. There's for sure 2 babies.
Were you by
there.
yourself at that appointment?
I made Brett. I was like, you have to be with me for this. Because if it is twins, you're finding out with me.
Yeah.
I can do this by
Was
myself.
it exciting or oh shoot?
It was exciting. Yeah. My dad's actually a boy-girl twin.
No.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, oh, this is cute.
So how was your pregnancy with twins?
Hard.
Hard.
I do feel lucky in the sense that I am not throwing up my whole pregnancies, like if at all. With Brooks, I only threw up 1 time, and it was because I like gagged myself brushing my teeth. But I was very nauseous my first trimester with both. And then after that, as far as like sickness goes, it was like pretty smooth sailing. But carrying twins hurts. My pelvis.
I can imagine.
It is so painful. Your pelvis feels like it's going to break in half. At the end, I could not really walk. You have to, obviously.
So did they come early?
They did. It was actually Mother's Day. I woke up 8:05 a.m. on Mother's Day to my water breaking.
Wow.
Yes.
How many weeks?
34 weeks on the dot.
Okay.
And so Brooks' labor and delivery was like 4 hours. It was super fast. And I have no contractions whatsoever until my water breaks. And then it's so fast. And so I knew, my doctor told me, like, if your first delivery was that fast, this one's probably going to be faster, just so you know. It could not be, but prepare for it to be really fast. So thankfully our bags were already packed. We just had to toss them in the car. My water broke at 8:05. We were to the hospital by like 8:50. And they checked me, and I was at a 6, and Molly's toes were poking out.
Oh,
Molly,
So,
stay
I know.
in there.
So she's like, we're going to prep you for a C-section, and it's going to be really quick, and you might feel anxious because everything's moving really fast, but we're here. We got you, and I was so anxious.
did you deliver vaginally with Brooks?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't remember a lot of his delivery. I don't know why. I just remember bits and pieces of it.
It's a little traumatic.
Yeah. Yeah. They told me who the on-call doctor was. I had no idea who it was. They get me back to the OR because with twins, it doesn't matter if you're doing vaginal or C-section, you have to deliver in the operating room just in case something happens and they need to quickly operate.
Got it.
Anyways, as soon as they get me on the table and the anesthesiologist gives me the spinal whatever, one of the practitioners leaned over and was like, I called Dr. Young. That was my doctor. And he's coming in. He's going to deliver your babies. And I was so relieved because I loved my OB and just feeling like, okay, like I'm so anxious about a C-section.
Yeah.
Scares the living hell out of me.
Yeah.
You're going to cut me open and I'm awake.
Yeah, it gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about
Freaked
it.
me out. But yeah, so my doctor literally came just for my C-section. I'm like, you took time. You were not even on call. You took time out of your Mother's Day to come deliver my babies.
So sweet.
Was so sweet. And him walking in that room just calmed my nerves so much.
Oh, I love that.
It was honestly, for having a C-section, it was like the dream delivery.
Yeah.
And between the 2 recoveries, I may prefer the C-section recovery.
Really?
Obviously, it's painful. Like you had 7 layers of your body cut open.
Yeah.
But your vag isn't
But
ripped.
everything down
So-
there is like chilling.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. You're still bleeding because like you still have stuff to get rid of, but like
Yeah.
you're not stitched up down there. So yeah. And then they were in the NICU for a month, and that was really hard.
Oh, that is so hard.
But now they're home and they're thriving, and they're almost 10 months
I
old.
know it's so hard because your heart is
At home,
Home
but
and
also
then-
at the hospital. Yeah. And he had a hard time with it when he came to see me in the hospital and he couldn't go see the babies yet.
Because he's 4 at this point. Like, he's like
4.
Understands.
Yeah.
Like,
what's going on.
Like, I thought these were going to be our babies, like, coming home to us.
He sobbed because the babies weren't coming home. And I just, like, broke me, you know? It was so sad.
Yeah, because my first was 33.
Oh, my goodness.
And then next, I was on bed rest. He came at 36 weeks, but he came home with me, which I loved. And then my last was 34.
Wow.
So I'm always early.
That is wild.
Yeah, but the NICU destroyed me.
Oh my gosh.
This last one.
Really?
Because I had 2 at home.
Yes. And you're just like the guilt of being like, I need to be at home, but I also need to be at the hospital.
And you have to ask for so much help from everyone. You feel like such a burden, but you're still recovering, but you have to like up, walk, let's go, go here,
do
pump,
all the things. Yes.
clog milk dugs, like the whole
9 yards.
It's brutal. But then it's weird because then when they come home, you forget all of that.
It. Yeah. But it is, I felt, and maybe you felt this way, but visiting them in the NICU and like being there, like I didn't feel like they were my babies. I felt like they were somebody else's babies that I was going to visit.
To take care of.
And it was like somebody else is making all these decisions for this child. So it didn't feel like they were mine, you know?
But were they NICU babies when they came home on a schedule? Were you doing that every 3 hours?
That was so nice. They came home on a schedule and we could stick to it. I didn't have to put them on that. That was the best part of the NICU.
Yeah.
100%.
Because they get them on those schedules.
They do. And it is every 3 hours. And on that 3 hour mark, they start squirming and you're like, all right, it's time.
We just took a little Diet Coke break.
And Cadbury eggs.
And Cadbury eggs.
Oh, the best combo.
I know, I
Tis
munched
the
on those.
season.
Are you like Diet Coke and lime or
Diet Coke and True Lime is...
what's True Lime? Oh, is that the
it's the
stuff you do?
packets.
But I do the lemon.
Lemon's good too.
Yeah.
But True Lime just
Because
hits.
like make the whole Diet Coke with a lot of ice, glass straw.
The glass straw
lemon.
matters.
It really
The
does.
glass straw's everything. That cold. What's your swig order?
Okay, see, I don't like Diet Coke at Swig.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Every time I get Diet Coke at Swig, I'm like, it's not crisp enough
Yeah.
for me, you know?
Do you agree?
Yeah. I think Sodalicious blend of Diet Coke is better.
Really?
Who do you think has the best Diet Coke blend?
McDonald's.
Really? See,
Oh, it's crisp. I shouldn't say every time because 1 or 2 times it's not been, but
there's been times where it's watery.
yeah.
I'm a Dr. Pepper girl.
But
I'm not a
their
huge
Dr.
soda.
Pepper is good too.
It's good. It's like very yummy.
No, but can I tell you my best blends of Diet Coke?
Yeah.
Del Taco,
Oh.
Cinemark, Mi Ranchito.
Cinemark.
Nothing beats those Diet Coke. They're just so strong.
Okay,
and
but
just,
there's
like,
also just something
burn.
about Diet Coke with Mexican food.
You have to. Yeah.
It's
but
so good.
Can I just say one thing about diet soda?
Yeah.
It always hurts my stomach. I don't know
Really?
what's in it.
The
that, like,
aspartame maybe?
whatever that word is. Yes.
Hurts your stomach. You know what? Good for you. At least you're not drinking much soda, right?
Yeah, I'm not a huge soda drinker.
I can't relate to like
I
how are we
can't
best
either.
friends? Do you want to drink water? Boring.
I have been liking that orange soda.
Okay. Wait, do you want a drink? She's like, do you have like a Fanta? I'm like, actually, I do. How
Like
keep it
7.
for the kids.
Because, yeah, the kids, I try not to let them drink soda, but when it is, it's Fanta.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gluten free. Are you celiac or just gluten free for PCOS or what?
Celiac.
Celiac.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
That's brutal. But it does help with PCOS. You're not supposed to eat gluten.
Yeah, that's what they say.
That's what some say because my doctor told me that I
And
need
some
it.
people, some PCOS specialists will be like, avoid gluten and dairy. And then others will be like, you don't need to avoid anything.
But here's the thing. There's PCOS treatment for trying to conceive. And then there's PCOS treatment for just optimal health. And I feel like those two are different because
100%.
you're trying to have a baby. I was like, okay, I'm going to cut out dairy and gluten. And my doctor was like, especially dairy, you really need it. It's super good for fertility.
Yes.
But I heard it's bad for your hormones and bad for PCOS. It's just so confusing.
Yeah. And there's so much mixed information out there. It's
Yeah.
so hard to know what's real.
And you just have to listen to your body. That's not my thing. I was gluten and dairy free for almost 8 years.
How?
Yeah. It was so
What did you
boring.
eat? Rice?
Yeah.
We'd always just get sushi.
And grilled nuggets from Chick-fil-A. It's so bad. And I just was off of it for my stomach always hurt. I was never celiac, but I always had stomach issues. And then I slowly started reintroducing gluten first, then dairy, and my stomach was fine. So then my doctors were like, I think you healed your gut from
You
being
just
off
need, like
of
a restart.
Yeah. But now I feel like gluten's messing up my hormones and stuff. breaking out so bad in PCOS. And I'm like,
it's hard.
I cannot go back.
But also I do feel like it is easier these days.
Because there's so many alternatives. But even then, you're gluten free. So I hate to say this, where it's like, no, it doesn't even taste. It tastes like the real thing. And now that I'm back on it, I'm like, I was missing out.
Yeah.
But you've been so good, right? Like
shockingly, I was diagnosed in 6th grade.
6th grade?
With celiac. Yes.
Girl, your parents were on it. They were like, we're going to get her diagnosed with PCOS. Like, they were taking you to the doctor.
Well, my dad was diagnosed with celiac when I was in kindergarten. And so they tested us when I was in kindergarten, and my brother was diagnosed in preschool.
Wow.
He has only known gluten-free his whole life. And that was when nobody knew what gluten was. Nobody knew what celiac was.
It was so much more scary when we were, they can't eat bread.
Yeah, there was like one brand of pasta you could buy at the health food store, you know? So my mom really quickly had to learn how to cook gluten-free. And we've just been gluten-free our whole lives.
Oh, you've been gluten-free your whole life?
I'm supposed to.
Okay.
Probably starting end of junior high. When I was spending more time out of the house, I was like, this sucks. My friends are having pizza. I'm having a freaking slice of pizza.
And you were destroyed, or it didn't hurt too bad?
It didn't hurt me, which made it so hard. And I kept trying to go off gluten multiple times because I'm like, I know I should be eating gluten-free. I know it's destroying my gut.
But if it's not hurting, it's still destroying it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it was during our time trying to conceive the twins when I was like, okay, I need to give my body the best chance. I know there's a ton of inflammation inside. And so I decided, it was just one morning I woke up and I'm like, I've got to be gluten-free. I don't know why I couldn't do it so many times before that I tried. I'd go like a week and be like, I'm done. This is ridiculous. But it was that day forward and I have not had gluten since. And it's been like almost 2 years, which is really good.
Have you noticed a difference in your body?
I have. I looked at pictures from right when I went gluten-free. 6 months later, my face alone, so much less inflammation.
Amazing.
It was so crazy. And I don't know if I've gotten glutened because, again, I don't know if it like really hurts me or not.
Because are you super strict? Like when you go to a restaurant, are you like, it's an allergy?
Not super. Like I don't worry a ton about cross-contamination, which I probably should.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I'm following it for the most part. You know?
Yeah, there's like levels for sure, because then also if you're okay, you're not gonna like, your stomach isn't gonna be dying if there's a little cross contamination. It's almost like better to just go that route, because then I feel like it's so inconvenient, and then they're like, oh, let me give you your gluten-free menu, and you're like, no, I can still have. It's a whole thing.
I always order off the gluten-free menu, but a lot of places will be like, we can't guarantee that it's safe for celiacs. And I'm like, I don't really care. But my dad, he gets so sick if he gets like a crumb.
Oh, that's so sad.
And so he has to be very, very particular.
So something's cooked in the same fryer or something like, you have to be so careful.
Yeah, because it will make him very sick. So.
Okay, so going back to the twins.
Yes.
The NICU, they get out.
Yes.
What was that transition like?
Really hard at first because they were both on oxygen.
Oh, it's so brutal. Yes.
So we had 2 sets of like cords and pulse oximeters, and just like making sure that like one beeps and something's wrong with that one, and then once you get that one fixed, the other one's beeping and something's wrong with that one, you gotta fix the foot thing. Like it was so hard. Thankfully, I will say, and I know not everyone has this, so I feel for those moms who don't, but I have a supportive husband who was like just as much in it as I was, doing the middle of the night with me, changing diapers. Like we were absolutely a team. We still are. I mean, he's home with the kids and it's no big deal. He could put all 3 kids down by himself, no problem. But
how much time did he have off of work?
Thankfully, he had 6 weeks paternity. So once they came home, he only had 2 weeks left.
See, and that's what I have realized for husbands who work or moms who work, if they're in the NICU, that's eating into your leave time.
Yes, it is. I almost wish that he would have just taken a couple sick days right when we had them and then waited until they came home to take his paternity.
Yeah.
But it was nice that he was home with Brooks.
Yeah.
You know,
you could be at the NICU.
I could be at the NICU.
So he was super helpful, but you had that 2 week and then he went back to work.
He went back to work. And thankfully, I'm pretty sure they were off oxygen by that point. I don't quite remember. But yeah, I was very just like
How was your anxiety at that point?
Shockingly, I felt like I was doing good.
Okay, that's great.
I feel like during their pregnancy and like my body hurt, whatever, and then you're healing from birth. But like mentally, once they were home, I felt like on top of the world. And I felt like that for like the first 4 months or so. Like I was like, we are thriving, which is weird because I had twins, you know? But once they became more mobile and just like were trying to mess up their own schedule, you know, when they start kind of sleeping more, but then I feel like my hormones got to the point then where they're like, you're not okay again, you know? And so my anxiety didn't hit me hard until probably 5 or 6 months postpartum with the twins.
How are you doing now?
I am heavily medicated.
Yeah. So did you get on medication at that point, or were you already on medication?
I was already on medication. So I started a medication during Brooke's pregnancy. That was really hard for me to go to my doctor and be like, I'm struggling. I know I'm 16 weeks pregnant, but like I need help. Because people talk about postpartum depression all the time, but nobody talks about getting depression while you're pregnant, you know? The onset of it being happening while you're pregnant. And so that was really hard, but I stayed on that. I mean, I'm still on it since then. So that's been, you know, years.
Yeah.
But yeah, at that point I'm regularly seeing a psychiatrist. So I just explained to him like, yeah, I'm feeling more anxious, more depressed, and we adjust my medications as necessary.
Do you feel like it's more anxiety that you suffer from or depression?
I mean, kind of both, but like, there are some moments where it's a lot more heavily depression. Now I feel like I'm really good. I'm totally great. And now the anxiety is kind of leveled out, but I really badly struggle with intrusive thoughts and stuff. And that's part of why I see the psychiatrist also, because he's watching that stuff.
So explain those intrusive thoughts. What would deem it, okay, this is an issue? Because I feel like we all have those thoughts. Sometimes they're unmanageable.
Yeah. They become all consuming. A random one that I mentioned to my psychiatrist, there was one morning I woke up like dead out of my sleep. It was like 5 a.m. And all I could think about is my house is going to start on fire and I am not prepared. And I could not go back to sleep until I was on Amazon and ordered every single thing that I would need to get my family out safely if a fire happened. It just consumed me. And that's just one example of the compulsive part of it, you know?
So the compulsive part of anxiety?
It is actually OCD. He did diagnose me with OCD.
Okay.
But like OCD and my anxiety are very closely related.
Okay.
They kind of manifest each other a little bit.
Toxic besties.
Yes, very much so. And OCD never crossed my mind because people talk about OCD as super clean, and that's not me. I wish that was me 100%. But it does manifest a lot of anxiety a lot of the time, and just the compulsions of triple checking everything, you know, just like all the little
and
things.
it's not just the thoughts, it's now consuming your actions and your Amazon cart.
It's hard, but you know what? Thank heavens for medication because
1,000%.
and I hope that people don't feel shame in that, you know.
No.
It's so necessary sometimes. There's no one should ever feel dumb or bad for having to do that.
I was gonna say, I do feel like the stigma isn't as great anymore.
100%. Thank heavens.
And I think there's just such a power in sharing it.
Yeah.
Like when you talk to your friend, I keep having these intrusive thoughts, or I can't calm down about this, or I have so much anxiety about this. And hearing you say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes me feel normal. I thought that was just me. I thought that was just... So hearing it and sharing it is super helpful, where it's like, okay, how do you manage it? Okay, this helps me, and this medication helped me. It's all about just surviving and getting through.
And not only does it help people around you feel like they're not alone, but it helps them know what you're going through, and maybe they'll be more aware of tendencies you have, or being able to support you in the ways that you need. 100%.
How is your husband? I know you've said he's super supportive, but with mental health, do you feel like he is able to emotionally grasp and see you and understand, even if he doesn't struggle with the same things?
Sort of. He knows when he needs to step in and let me go upstairs and be by myself. When I'm overstimulated and I'm really struggling, He's like, go upstairs, do your thing. I got the kids, no problem. And that makes a world of a difference, because sometimes you're okay, you're kind of struggling, but the constant people crawling up you and
needing something,
yeah, 24/7 needing something. Yeah, it's a stimulation. Obviously, going through fertility and everything, I'm so grateful that I have kids crawling at me every day, asking me for things multiple times a day, that I have healthy, happy children.
But that's
still hard.
It's not realistic to be like, oh, I'm
so grateful.
This. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you feel like infertility has affected motherhood in a good way, makes it sweeter at times? In a negative way, maybe you feel like there's not that room to have those bad days?
Yes, I think that's exactly it. I do have moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I once thought I would never have this. And like, my child just walked for the first time, or, you know, like I got my first like Mother's Day card from preschool and just like wanted to lose my mind. It was like the sweetest thing ever. And I just was like so grateful, you know, and I'm sure every mom is so grateful, but just like remembering those moments when I thought that would never happen, it does make those moments so sweet. But then sometimes, yeah, I'm like, I remember what it was like to see other moms share their struggles and feeling like I would give anything to be in their position, and wanting to give myself grace back then, you know, for feeling like angry that anyone was ever struggling, and give those women grace, and now myself grace, because it is hard. And just because I struggled to get here doesn't mean that this hard isn't as valid or important, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yes, it makes things sweeter, but sometimes it also does make you feel like there's not room for complaining. But I'm human. You know? Motherhood is going to be hard no matter how long it took you to get there. But it's also going to be so beautiful no matter how hard it was to get there, you know?
Yeah, totally. So are you done now having kids, or do you want to try for another?
Pretty sure we're done. My husband's like, I don't want a miracle baby. And I'm like, if I get a miracle baby, they were meant to be here.
So you guys aren't like, you're not going to like use anything?
No, because I've never had to.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like, it's kind of nice to just like not have to worry about that.
Totally.
And if I get a miracle baby, it will truly be a miracle.
Yep.
I don't ovulate on my own. And if I do randomly ovulate on my own, hell yeah.
It's like meant to be, literally.
Yeah.
Do you think there's like a cutoff that you'll be like, okay, Brooks is 10. Like, are we?
Oh, Brett's ready to go.
Oh, he is. Okay. So you're like, let's just give it.
I'm just like, schedule it when you want. If we get pregnant between now and then, we get pregnant. But
yeah.
And then now having 2 periods back to back, he's like, do we need to be like worried? I'm
like, should I pull out a little sooner?
Yeah. I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Probably not. Because I don't have high enough progesterone to hold a pregnancy on my own.
Okay, but here's the thing. I never have periods either.
Really?
Like maybe 1 or 2 a year, and then sometimes I'll have 3 back to back my whole life. And so they said similar. They're like, you're going to have such a hard time getting pregnant.
And you didn't?
Lennox, literally, I think it was like 2 months trying.
Shut up.
Riggs was maybe 3. And then Rooney, my last one, we were trying for like 9 months, and I was getting worried, but then got pregnant. Which is insane. I'm like, how? I'm not having periods.
That is so interesting.
Isn't that so weird?
There's no rhyme or reason. It feels like.
Yeah, totally. That is wild.
If you have a period, isn't that a sign that you did ovulate or no?
That's what I seem to remember the fertility specialist telling me, that you can have a period but not have ovulated, but you can't ovulate and not have a period. Like if you ovulate, a period will come because your body will need to shed the lining. But if you don't ovulate, nothing's triggering the body to shed the lining.
Got it. So you could still be shedding without ovulating.
Yeah.
So it's like I literally had sex while I was ovulating and then just never had a period. Like randomly. Probably. Isn't that so crazy?
Yeah.
It just was like.
Well, and I'm like, you weren't tracking. You just were like, la, 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 no period.
Yeah.
So how did you even know, like, to take a test?
Well, because we were, like,
trying.
Yeah, we weren't using anything.
So just, like, every week you would just take a test because you didn't know if you were late or not.
Yeah. Did you, like, get sick or anything and that triggered a test?
No, I would just, I went to the dollar store and bought, like, a ton of tests.
Those ones are the best ones.
They're the best, and they don't have them anymore at the dollar store. I know, I'm so depressed. So I have to go and freaking buy like the expensive ones, and I'm like, this is so annoying. I need to
just
I
get
should have got
the strips on Amazon. Yeah.
But so I bought a bunch of those, and then I would just take it a bunch, and then found out I was pregnant. And I was like, oh sweet. But the thing is when we started trying, we'd been married almost 3 years, I think, at this point, and so it was like, okay, this is great timing. Yeah. But I was like, also we're young, so if it does take us like a year, we'll try for a year, and then if we don't, then we'll like go see what we need to do,
get it figured out.
And so we were kind of like gearing up. For it to take time. And then it was literally like 2 months later. We're like, oh.
You're like, oh, well, all right.
And so that's why I was scared with Rooney, because it was taking a while, like more time. And then, but I didn't have to. So when Sammy's telling me, now I feel like I understand more of the infertility side. Because when she was saying stuff like follicle, this, or my Golgi body or whatever you were talking.
Corpus luteum. She's like, what's that?
Like, oh yeah, I don't even know what that is.
No, but she's like saying all these terms to me, and I'm like, what? And she's like, you don't even know what's going on in your body, like at all. I'm like, no, you just like, it happens. And which is crazy. Like,
no, it is crazy. And you know what? It's not to relate everything back to church, but I didn't know what the inside of my body felt like until I went through fertility treatment. Because like you're taught you're not supposed to touch yourself or do anything.
Don't put those fingers up there.
And so the first time I had to do progesterone suppositories, I did not have an applicator. So I had to just like use my finger to stick it up there. And I'm like, holy shit, that's what it feels like.
Wait. I don't think I have an applicator.
You don't?
I'm having a realization.
Are they like little white bullets?
Is that the applicator?
No, that is the progesterone itself. Do you not have a stick? It's like a white stick.
We're going to look at my bag on the way out. Okay. Because I don't think they sent it. So I I rip it open and I just
shove it up.
Stick it to the side. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But progesterone suppositories are a weird time.
They are
like, these
so
are weird.
So weird. And they make you feel like you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what she was saying. And she was like, it's like
the 2 week wait of progesterone. I'm just like,
you're just like,
I have every symptom. I'm pregnant. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel now? You might be done having babies. Yeah. Do you feel like you put all of that in the back of your mind, or are you still trying to manage your PCOS?
Yes and no. Now that I feel like I'm done having kids, the thought of living with the effects of PCOS forever really stresses me out. Just thinking I'm going to be this exhausted for the rest of my life. I'm going to struggle with my weight the rest of my life. That feels really daunting. So it is actually one of my 2025 goals to go see a hormone specialist and start to get that in check. I have heard a lot of people talk about the new GLP-1 drugs helping their PCOS. I never really thought about that until like recently when someone in my family reversed their diabetes.
Yeah.
And I have insulin resistant PCOS. And so I'm like, well, maybe that would be interesting to look into. I want to talk to my doctors about it or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I really want to get all my hormones in check before I do anything else, because that could really solve a lot of problems. So that's one of my goals, is to
yeah, because I know the GLP-1s, they can help with your blood sugar regulation and a lot of those things. It's hard for me because a lot of people are like, you should try semaglutide for infertility. You know, I had a friend who did IVF and then she did semaglutide and then got pregnant.
Wow.
But then my doctor was like, we don't know enough about it. It can cause brain defects or whatever. So I've been so hesitant. I just don't even want to risk it. But then I've had friends who've gotten pregnant on it. So I'm like, oh, should I try it? I don't know.
That's so hard to know what to do in those situations.
But with PCOS, it's so confusing because it's like, the endocrine blockers and all the products you're using and all the food you're eating and candles.
Exactly. And it's like, how do you overload your life and figure that out?
Exactly. And then even going to a good doctor is so hard.
So hard, because most doctors will hand you birth control or metformin and say, good luck. Yeah. Come back when you're trying to get pregnant. And that's so unfair that we just are supposed to live with the effects of PCOS.
It's just getting worse and worse because then generations of people have it, and now infertility feels like it's so is it the food we're eating? What is it? So I was going to ask you too, I want to know how you keep it all managed. You have baby twins.
You think I have it managed?
I do. I can barely even.
I'm
like,
so
I need to
impressed
post a TikTok video this week or whatever, and then I don't because I'm feeling overwhelmed. But you have a toddler, you have baby twins, and you're still managing to be in tune with your creative side and be inspired. And
the fact that you think I have it managed means so much, because I feel like I am a shit show.
Really?
Yeah. I just barely got a manager to manage incoming and outgoing brand deal stuff.
Okay.
Which is so helpful because I wasn't doing any of that. Like I was so overwhelmed with all the incoming that I just wouldn't respond and was never sending anything out. And so having somebody doing that for me is so nice because I can just focus on the creating. Again, it also goes back to having a super supportive husband because the weekends I usually take 4, 5, 6 hours to plan and then film and do all these things. But even then I don't feel like I get to everything I want to get to, you know, because all day it's wake up, feed the babies, pump, feed my toddler, get him to school, get home, get the babies down for nap, feed myself, get the babies up, get the kid from school. It's just like back to back to back to back to back, keep these kids alive.
Yeah.
You know, so posting during the week is really, really hard. But honestly, and I can't remember who posted this on their stories, but somebody asked somebody else, how do you balance everything? And she said something along the lines of, I stopped trying to balance things a long time ago because balance was impossible. But I strive for harmony because harmony can be up and down and all over the place. But as long as you don't feel stressed about it, like just letting things flow.
And they can coexist.
Yes.
It's like chaos and
we're okay.
Yeah.
You know?
If I don't get this done, it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. The world's not going to end. We're good. This is more important right now. And I recognize that. Obviously, some things that are strict deadlines and I have to plan ahead for that. But really, I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the work that you do on social media has helped you maintain own identity outside of motherhood?
Yes. And it's helped me keep connections alive and not just get so bogged down in the day-to-day where you feel like you're not ever talking to another adult.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier, it does feel hard sometimes because motherhood is my all day, every day, you know, and wanting to maintain my kids' privacy while also staying present on social media. It can sometimes be hard to harmonize the two.
Harmonize them both.
But it reminds me every time that like, yes, I'm mom, but I'm also still Carlee.
Yeah.
And this fulfills some creativity that is so necessary for me and for my sanity.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're so good at it. You have an overarching good eye for design.
You're so
So
kind.
I'm excited
Thank
that you're now doing, you just posted Lucky Girl shirt, the tees and the sweatshirts and stuff.
Thank you.
And
That's so
you're
fun.
going to do more for different holidays and stuff.
Yeah. I always have these ideas in my mind.
Yeah.
And I've just never executed. And I'm like, why freaking not?
Yeah. Literally.
It is very vulnerable to put yourself out there like that.
Yeah.
And just hoping that people like it and are interested in it or whatever. But now that went so good, I'm like, okay, you can do it again, see how it goes, and go from there. It's so fun because I do feel like I do have an eye for some things like that. And I have these ideas floating in my mind. And the imposter syndrome is like, somebody else is already doing it better or whatever. But I have to remind myself, somebody's not doing it better. They're just doing it different. And my creativity is equally as important as somebody else's. And everybody else has their own audience. And there's going to be an audience that's specific for me.
Yeah.
And the comparison is just like what will kill it. And I got to stop that.
Yeah, because literally that's what you have to think. Is like, why not me?
Yeah.
And you never know where it's going to lead.
Totally.
You start posting these and like what's going to happen, or even just having that creative outlet of, okay, I'm going to make a little extra money. I'm going to,
even if it doesn't get big,
festive.
like,
Yeah.
at least I'm doing something that helps me feel creative and fulfilled and things like that, for sure.
So where do you feel like mental health plays into social media? Do you find that it helps or that it makes your mental health worse at times?
Definitely both. There are some moments where I'm like, thank the heavens I have this because I would feel so alone if I didn't. But there are other moments where I feel like I've been sucked in and scrolling way too long and I need to put my phone away because the comparison game happens, or I feel like my brain's not working properly, or the creativity is gone because I'm too busy consuming other people's. So definitely there are some struggles, and It's when I start getting stressed. Okay, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I got to post this. I'm not following the schedule or whatever. That's when I really struggle. So I always remind myself, it's okay if you're not perfect. Mm-hmm. You're in a stage of life right now where that can't be your only focus, and that's okay.
Do you have a vision of where you see your social media going, or goals of doing more merch drops? Or
yes and no. I would love for the shirt thing to keep growing.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Mm-hmm. I'm also the type of person, though, when something becomes a job, it becomes less fun, you know? So I don't want it to get to that point, but I also recognize this could just be for a season, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. As far as long-term goals, honestly, I just want to be able to afford the new It shoe every year.
Literally.
And have no shame pressing add to cart, you know?
Yeah. Literally. Yeah. So what you do on social media helps a lot with your finances and stuff with your husband. Like, do you feel pressure to push yourself to make money, or is it more of this is really an outlet for me and a little extra money's fine?
In this economy?
Yeah.
I feel the pressure to help provide.
Yeah.
You know, and 2 years ago, I would have never said that. But I just feel like it's a lot harder these days to afford groceries.
Yeah. Now you have 3 kids.
And now I have 3 kids, you know, and I got to clothe all 3 kids. And it's also hard. The cost of living has gone up.
Yeah.
And I'm used to buying myself a shirt when I want a new shirt or whatever, but those things add up, you know? Yep. So yeah, there's definitely the pressure, which I feel like everyone's struggling right now. It's not just us.
We all feel that
pressure.
Yeah.
And I would love to be the sugar mama, you know? I don't want to be the sole provider, but I would love to feel like I'm really making an impact.
Yeah.
And not just a little extra cash here and there, for sure.
And it's kind of hard to know your goals because things are always changing. You know, like TikTok comes along and obviously like the format that people are creating content changes, and
it evolves
just
all
like
the time.
Merch, something's going to hit eventually where you just keep being creative, keep putting yourself out there. Yeah. And I feel like there's big things in your future. Already are right here, right now, but yeah. I just feel like you're very talented, and
you're so kind.
I see big things for you.
You're so nice. Oh, I love you.
Thank you so much for literally just talking to us forever. I'm like in a time warp. Like I could talk to you for 10 more hours.
Girls' night.
Yeah, no, seriously. It feels like a girls' night, which that's when you know you're doing something right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like.
Yeah. No, yeah, I appreciate you coming on because, like I said before, I think we even started filming, like you have. Obviously there's power through sharing in social media, but like when I think about Carroll, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you have so many different sides to you. And that is part of just all of the things that you've been through. And so I'm sure people listening to this, like someone can relate to something with you because you have, if they make it through,
because I gabbed for 2
minutes. Are you kidding me? As you're talking, I'm like, yes, I feel seen.
Yeah.
That's my goal, honestly, in life. I just want people to feel like it doesn't matter what they're going through or what they're struggling with or like what direction their life is taking them. I want people to feel like I'm a safe space, you know? And again, going back to the church stuff, I couldn't have been that person inside the church. I just couldn't be. And now I feel like I can, and I want people to feel no matter where they're at, no matter what's going on, no matter what hard things they're dealing with, I'm a safe person. You know? I just want to be that so bad because I know there's so many people out there who don't have that. And who that's all they need, really, you know? So
yeah, that's beautiful.
And that's like the best thing that you can be for someone, just to see someone, just to be there for someone. And I feel like you're doing that for a lot of people, even just online, that you probably don't even realize.
You're so kind. Thank you.
Yes.
I hope so.
Thanks for coming on.
I'm about to start crying.
I'm like, I
love you. Yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We will talk to you guys next week.
Love ya.
Bye.